In the 1950s, a Polish psychologist named Kazimierz Dabrowski began a study that should have been straightforward. He sat down with survivors of the Second World War, people who had lived through horrors we can barely imagine: the Holocaust, bombed-out cities, starvation, the loss of everyone they ever loved. He was expecting to document a landscape of pure psychological devastation, and he found it, but he also found something else, something so counterintuitive, so utterly shocking that it would define the rest of his career. He discovered that a sizable percentage of these survivors didn't just survive. They quietly, firmly believed that the experience, the worst experience of their lives, had actually made them better human beings, that it had made them more grateful, more appreciative of life, and in some strange, profound way, even happier. How is that possible? How can the deepest wounds lead to the greatest strength? This isn't just an academic question for me. There was a point in my own life where I felt profoundly lost, and the search for answers led me down this very path. What I'm sharing is the framework that helped me make sense of my own scars. And it starts with understanding that this paradox is everywhere. This isn't some historical anomaly, a strange quirk of one generation. Once you start looking, you see this pattern of growth through adversity everywhere. Talk to cancer survivors. So many of them will tell you, with a conviction that is almost chilling, that their battle with the disease, as terrifying as it was, ultimately gave them a strength and a gratitude for life they never had before.
Beneath the surface, many will describe a newfound mental resilience, a clarity about what truly matters that was forged in the crucible of their deployment. In our own lives, think about your proudest achievements. Think about the moments you grew the most. Were they born from comfort, or were they born from overcoming a great challenge, from navigating a painful breakup, from bouncing back from a devastating failure? How is it possible that our greatest adversities so often become the source of our greatest pride? The answer lies in a radical rethinking of pain itself, and Dabrowski was the one who laid the groundwork.
His central argument was this: emotions we spend our entire lives trying to avoid, fear, anxiety, sadness, shame, are not necessarily the enemy. They are not flaws in our design. He argued they are often the necessary, painful signals of psychological growth. Think about it in physical terms. This is an idea we accept without question. To build stronger muscles, you must first experience the pain of tearing them. The microscopic damage is the prerequisite for growth. To build stronger bones, they must be put under stress. The pain is the signal that adaptation is required. Your body doesn't get stronger when it's comfortable. It gets stronger when it's forced to overcome resistance. Dabrowski proposed that our psychology works in exactly the same way. We don't fundamentally question our lives when things are going well. We don't reevaluate our core values when we're comfortable and content. Why would we? There's no incentive. True self-reflection, the kind that leads to profound change, almost always requires a catalyst. It requires some form of existential crisis. It's the intense pain of a life that is no longer working, the pain of a failed relationship, a lost career, a crisis of meaning that forces us, finally, to stop and look objectively at the path we are on. That pain is a fire. It burns away the trivialities, the excuses, the comfortable illusions. It forces us to confront the raw truth of our situation and find a new course. The comfort we crave keeps us stagnant. It's the disintegration that forces us to rebuild ourselves into something stronger. There's a beautiful Japanese art form called Kintsugi.
When a cherished piece of pottery breaks, the artisans don't try to hide the cracks. They don't glue it back together to pretend it was never broken. Instead, they meticulously repair the piece using a lacquer mixed with powdered gold. The cracks are not only repaired, but they are highlighted. The lines of breakage become veins of gold. The object's history of being broken is now the most beautiful part of it. The repaired piece is considered more valuable, more beautiful, and stronger than the original, precisely because it was broken. This is a perfect metaphor for the human soul. We are not meant to hide our scars.
We are not meant to pretend we were never broken. The process of healing, of integrating our painful experiences, is our Kintsugi. Our breaks, our traumas, our failures, these can become the very lines of gold that give us character, depth, and a unique beauty, if we choose to heal them with intention. Now, let's be brutally honest for a moment. This does not mean trauma is good. This does not mean we should seek out suffering. That's a dangerous and simplistic interpretation. Many of the survivors Dabrowski studied, many of the cancer survivors and veterans we've talked about, still carry deep and lasting emotional scars. The pain is real, the damage is real. But it does mean that even in our darkest moments, in the heart of our deepest pain, the potential for growth always exists. The possibility of Kintsugi is always there. But, and this is the most important part, this growth is not automatic. It doesn't just happen. It's a messy, unpredictable, and intensely personal process. For every person who finds growth in their trauma, there are others who are diminished by it. So the crucial question is, how do you actually do it? How do you actively cultivate post-traumatic growth? The research, building on Dabrowski's work for decades, points to 3 key ingredients, 3 active choices you have to make to turn pain into strength. This is the how-to. Step 1. You have to find the lesson. This is not about finding a silver lining or telling yourself everything happens for a reason. That can be a form of denial. This is a more ruthless and proactive process. It's about forcing yourself to look at the rubble of your experience and ask, how can this make me better? What positive changes, no matter how small, can emerge from this? How will I be a different, stronger, wiser person because this happened? Once we feel we have improved from an experience, it becomes psychologically impossible to regret it. The benefit cancels out the cost. Imagine someone, let's call him Alex, who just got laid off from a job he'd had for 10 years. The initial feeling is pure panic, shame, and failure. The simplistic lesson is, I need to update my resume. But the deeper lesson, the one he has to force himself to find, might be something else entirely. It might be the realization that he hated that career path, that the steady paycheck was a golden cage. The layoff, as painful as it is, wasn't a punishment. It was a liberation. It's a forced opportunity to finally ask what he wants to do with the one life he has. Finding that lesson is the first step to turning a crisis into a turning point. Step 2, you have to channel the energy. Every traumatic experience, every betrayal, every failure, every loss creates a massive surge of raw emotional energy. Anger, shame, grief, anxiety. This energy is real. It's a potent force inside you, and it absolutely must go somewhere. If you don't give it a constructive direction, it will find a destructive one. It will curdle into bitterness, addiction, depression, or lashing out at the people you love. You have to find a positive outlet. This energy has to go somewhere. It can become the fuel for late-night doom scrolling and a bottle of whiskey every night, digging you into a deeper hole.
Or it can become the fuel for the first mile you run, the first page of the book you always wanted to write, the first brushstroke on a canvas, the volunteer work you sign up for, the difficult conversation you finally have with a family member. It's about taking that chaotic, painful energy and giving it a purpose. One path leads to a cycle of self-destruction, the other is the first step of the climb out. Step 3. You have to share the story. You cannot do this alone, locked away in your own head. Do not bury your experience. Be open, be vulnerable, talk about it. To a friend, a therapist, a support group, a partner, to anyone who will listen with compassion.
There's a profound psychological reason why this works. When an experience is unprocessed, it lives in our minds as a chaotic, fragmented emotional mess. It's like a jumbled box of unlabeled photographs in the attic of our brain. It has the power to ambush us, to trigger us unexpectedly. The act of verbalizing it, of telling the story from beginning to end, is the process of turning on the light in that attic. It forces our brain to organize the chaos, to take out each photograph, look at it, label it, and put it into a coherent narrative album. This process of creating a story gives us a sense of control. It transforms the experience from an active, haunting threat into a catalogued memory. It becomes a part of our history, not a constant presence in our present. I'm curious, which of these 3 steps resonates most with you? Or which one do you find the hardest? Share your thoughts below. Your story might be the one someone else needs to read today. There is a final, internal step to all of this. It's a shift in perspective. It's about learning to treat your emotional scars the way you might treat physical ones, with a sense of pride. Think of a scar on your hand from a childhood accident or a surgical scar. At first, you may have been self-conscious about it, but over time, it just becomes a part of you, a silent story. You don't hide it, you own it. It's proof that you went through something and you healed. Your emotional scars are no different. They are not symbols of what broke you. They are not symbols of your weakness or your failure. They are symbols of the fact that you healed, that you survived, that you are, in the words of Hemingway, stronger in the broken places. They are the lines of gold in your own personal Kintsugi. To wear them with pride is to accept your whole story, not just the polished parts. It's to look in the mirror and know that your depth, your resilience, your compassion, all the best parts of you were not earned in spite of your struggles, but because of them. The past can only hold you down as much as you allow it to. You have the agency to define its meaning. Pain, in some form, is an inevitable part of a meaningful life, but its outcome is not. Suffering is not a choice, but whether we are diminished by it or grow from it, that is. We can be crushed by our suffering, or we can choose to find the opportunity for transformation within it. The power to alchemize our worst moments into our greatest strengths lies within us. If this resonated and you want to join a community that isn't afraid of these conversations, subscribe to the channel. Your support is what makes this possible. And a quick note, videos like this that challenge the norm sometimes disappear. And a quick note, videos like this that challenge the norm sometimes disappear. So, if this was valuable, you may want to save it.